one, so that you know the home of GSA, and also to deepen our friendship with you and our work with industry. I heard the GSA, FBA, all the co-meetings, that was a nice thing to say. Last year, one thing was obvious. We are here because you are businesses. And we want to add value to your business so that you do more. Because our business model is that if businesses succeed, they buy our services. If they fail, we have no clients. It's as simple as that. It sounds crazy when government says we need you. But the reality is that if businesses fail, we fail. Because if you're a regulator and there's no business, who are you regulating? So anytime a company says, "Oh, you want to close sales down," I laugh. No business destroys their clients. Because if your clients die, who is going to pay for you to be in business? We are more or less self-financing. Lighthouse, you see the yellow sign, you know it's a lighthouse. So really having standard way of doing things is just for industrial efficiency and moving businesses forward and recognition. Now, most companies don't do it because we start as anecdotal.
Small-scale industries of all types need a system that helps them do their work reproducibly, consistently, and in a standardized manner so that they get value for money from their efforts. Over the years, as an organization, the Ghana Standards Authority has not explained these things in simple terms. We have used words like management system certification, quality management systems. It's confusing to industry. But what we are saying is that when you have a business, your start times, your opening times, your closing hours, the way you hire, the way you fire, what you do to people when they have to leave the organization, how you manage risks from flooding to fires. These are all things you must document, however basic and simple, so that your business moves forward. As we move towards an era where we are running our economy 24 hours a day, where we are resetting to make more progress, it's important that all Ghanaian businesses, starting from the business of government, start by ensuring that we have systems for having staff on board. We call them onboarding. If you hire a new staff, you teach them where your washroom is, how to turn on the lights, how to use equipment, how to protect themselves, what to do should there be a fire, should there be an outbreak of anything. How do they protect their neighbors, their colleagues? How do they protect company property? Can they use their own laptop? Can they not use? All these things must not be left to the judgment of the poor worker who has only joined a company. Rather, the company should think through it from the shareholders, be it government or individual shareholders, assign roles and responsibility, and ensure that they are followed. When you do this, companies will make progress. They will make profits. At the end of the day, as stakeholders, actors, the GSA, Ghana Standards Authority, and other state agencies, our interest must be the efficiency and profitability of Ghanaian businesses and all businesses that operate in Ghana. Because at the end of the day, as regulators who require internally generated funds, the more businesses we regulate, the more funds we get. The more profitable the businesses we regulate, the more products we get to certify, and the more funds we get. When businesses collapse, we cease to exist because we have no one to regulate. So at the end of the day, we actually have a symbiotic relationship that we have poorly explained to businesses. Yes, we have a key job to protect consumers, but linked to that job is to make sure that companies survive. So in the Ghana Standards Authority Act, when companies do not meet the standards, our first response is not to close them down, rather to give them up to 4 weeks to meet the standards so that they can serve consumers, make a profit, and serve our nation. The challenge of government businesses and indeed government communication as far as government agencies are concerned is that it's usually full of bureaucrats who have a captive market. You must register, you must certify. So our communication tends to be very poor, tends to be without imagination, and tends to be very much top down, do it or not. But it's changed, the whole world has changed. Our consumers, that is the Ghanaian citizens, expect us to communicate in a way they will understand. Expect us to communicate with impact, with creativity. I mean, I always use the example that when you fill a form for government, it's normally boring. There's no explanation. It's just black and white. But businesses everywhere realizes that to get good information, give them enough space. Let the layout be bright. Let it be cheerful, so that they will want to fill that form and give you the information you need. GSA will do better, and I'm hoping that other state agencies will serve Ghanaians better by adopting better communication, simple communication, and communication without jargon.
Goes into managing the ISO systems. So we have those who are just doing GMP, and we are able to certify to that as well. We have developed a scheme to enable us to do this. There are also those who manage the warehouses, and these we give licenses to. So we know we have Ghanaian warehouses that trade on the international market, and to be able to meet that standard, your grains, your products must be seen to be of some quality. And so warehouses, so they can trade both locally and on the international market. Now we also have what we call the National Quality Awards that we implement. This awards is not a GSA only driven thing, for which reason you would realize in the agenda for today that we have invited someone from the Association of Ghana Industries to help us bring to you how these awards are run. Some of you have...
The Ghana Standards Authority has been implementing the system certification for several years now. A system certification is actually a very basic process, meaning that you follow a certain standard based on its requirements. There are several different system standards, and we focus a lot on the requirements of the standards for an organization to meet. Now, these requirements, like you asked, to the layman, what are these requirements? The standard tells you what kind of documentations, for instance, you should have as you are running a business. Typically, yes, Ghanaians, like I mentioned at a point in time, do not like to document what they do because we like to flow freely. But we need a situation where we are able to put down information, develop data, and be able to do reviews and traceability with time, to be able to identify where issues may arise and be able to fix them in the nick of time before new problems develop. So that is one very important reason why documentation is important, and mostly the standards encourage such. A standard will typically also expect you to do what we call internal audits, and the internal audit is just basically checking your system, and it has to be done periodically. You are managing a business. You want to know if you are going forward or you are going backwards, or at least you are where you started from. And the only way to do that is to be checking, to be looking at the records you have put in place, to be able to see that, hey, okay, last month, this is what happened. This month, I have improved, or I am declining. And why am I declining? If you were keeping sufficient records, you will know that, okay, I'm declining because of maybe this staff who doesn't have sufficient training, or my supplier is not giving me the quality resources I need to do my business. If you don't document, you are unable to clearly identify where these problems are. And the only way an internal audit, for instance, will be effective is when you have documentation to be able to take you back several years. You can't always remember the things that you were doing, let's say 4 months ago or 1 year ago. But if you have it documented, you can go back, check your records, and see where problems came up. So in a nutshell, that is the essence of following these management systems, so that you can always be checking yourself and be able to improve upon the work you do. So for its benefits to, let's say, the layman, if I am on the streets and I'm buying a product, and I see on the product, for instance, that, or I see on a billboard that this thing is coming from a company that has certification, it gives me confidence that these people know what they are doing. If they were able to get certified, it means that they have a system in place, it is robust, and they are able to make sure that they won't give me bad service or bad products. Systems work for whether you are doing a product or you are providing a service. It doesn't really matter. Even schools can have systems in place. Churches can even implement management systems. And it just gives the confidence that wherever they are in the world, they will be able to deliver quality as per what a customer or a client needs. So that is the advantage it brings to the layman. So if I should see on a billboard, for instance, this company is certified to this standard, I feel confident to buy their product. Sometimes you will worry about price and those things. But when you look at such a thing, and you are even spending on this company's service, you know that you are getting value for money. And to the layman, I think that should be enough to make them willing to spend freely on a very particular product or service once it is certified.
I like what you stated on the significant impact you've made over the years.
Okay, so for the GSA, you would realize we have certain big companies. Unfortunately, I cannot mention names, but we have certain very big companies in Ghana that we have certified. And because of that, they don't sell only on the local market. They're able to sell within the sub-region. They export to the UK, the US. Typically, hitherto, they have sister companies doing the same products, but they cannot reach these markets, which is kind of global now. They cannot reach those markets. But once they have the system certified, any buyer across the world, knowing that you are meeting the system, is able to buy your product, and it is because we impacted you by certifying your product. So those are the impacts we are having. And as we continue to have general meetings, we continue to do more public awareness. It is our hope and prayer that we are able to, capture a larger community of industry players to be able to certify their systems and give more confidence to the Ghanaian consumer and to the world as a whole, or the sub-region even, to be able to make business or have business with companies around the globe. So the System Certification Department of the Ghana Standards Authority has been operating for years, like I mentioned earlier. Typical of any business, yes, we do have certain challenges, some of which are actually bigger than ourselves, but we hope that as the years go by, we will fix these. Now, some of the challenges include the fact that there isn't sufficient awareness or appreciation of the management system certification schemes that this department offers. And we would want an opportunity to be able to go out there, speak to every nook and cranny of our country, and speak to people, our businesses, on the value certification offers. Because, of course, our industry players, some do not know about the value of management systems. They are unable to avail themselves to certify their systems and therefore have access to bigger markets. Another challenge is the fact that we have industries or companies in very faraway places from our head office, and reaching such places sometimes becomes a bit of a challenge, in that some of our roads to get to some of these companies can be quite challenging, and it poses a risk to both the business we are trying to keep and the fact that the client is unable to also have their system certified because we are unable to reach them by road. If it becomes a matter of flight, then revenue generation becomes a challenge, because again, our airspace is such that we don't have that many different options to be able to reach certain locations within our country. And so these are some of the challenges, and it will be very necessary for us to probably engage our government or our leaders more to be able to do something better with our roads and with our airspaces, such that reaching businesses that need to be certified and therefore have access to bigger markets becomes a mundane thing of everyday living.